Pokémon Sword and Shield is now behind us, its expansions have released, and the game is slowly but surely fading into the rearview mirror. The 25th anniversary of Pokémon is next year, with some kind of big announcement very likely to happen on February 27th, Pokémon's birthday. The future of Pokémon is on the horizon, but with all of the commotion that has happened with Sword and Shield, what will that future look like? What will future Pokémon games look like? Well, today we are going to explore this idea and discuss what I believe we can expect from Pokémon games moving forward, and what elements, mechanics, features, and more could be in store for us. Let's dive right in. Personally, I believe the best place to look when speculating on future Pokémon games is to naturally look at the most recent release. That would of course be the Pokémon Sword and Shield expansion, in particular the Crown Tundra. It was pretty obvious from the outset that the expansion was very much looking like a stepping stone for the series. Mechanically, it was a huge improvement on Sword and Shield, and puts the games on a very promising trajectory that, assuming we stay on this trajectory, is going to make for some very good games in the future. Obviously, the biggest feature of the expansion is the seamless open world, combined with its free-flowing camera. As opposed to the base game, every inch of the overworld in these two expansions is a seamless open world that gives you full control of the camera in order to better view your surroundings. Not only was this super enjoyable, but it also set a precedent that this is the new standard for Pokémon, and unless we were talking about a side game like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, or possibly a remake of an old game, I fully expect the next brand new Pokémon game to be completely open world. There really is no going back at this point on that for Game Freak now that they've dipped their toe into that water, but I don't believe they ever had plans to fall back on that either. It will be interesting to see, however, if Diamond and Pearl remakes, for instance, would adopt an open world, because I could see that situation going either way, based on the fact that that would be a remake of an old game with an already established world. But nevertheless, I would say we are no less than maybe 2 main series entries away from a completely seamless open world Pokémon game. Given the Nintendo Switch's massive success and expected life cycle, there probably will also be about 2 or so more main series games on the system as well, with one likely being a remake of some kind, and the next one being Generation 9, given Game Freak's track record of having 2 generations on one console. Plus, I'm pretty sure that Sword and Shield's nearly 20 million copies sold will be a good deciding factor for them too in putting another generation on the Switch. With all this in mind, if you have not yet heard, there have been significant rumors floating around the internet of an upgraded Switch system possibly coming as soon as next year, one with better performance capabilities and possibly even 4K resolution. Now, I need to be perfectly clear that none of this is confirmed, and it's all super speculative territory, but an upgraded version of the Switch that boasts better graphics is not out of the realm of possibility by any stretch, and if that were to happen, Pokémon, as one of Nintendo's biggest franchises, would certainly be taking advantage of that. We even saw this with Pokémon Sun and Moon, as the games ran much smoother on the upgraded new 3DS, in addition to those games pushing that system to the limit as it is. With all of that in mind, it is actually somewhat of a possibility, however unconfirmed and speculative it may be at this time, that we might actually see a 4K Pokémon game within this generation, or at least something beyond 1080p. In my own personal view, an upgraded console and Pokémon taking advantage of it makes a ton of sense for Nintendo and Game Freak to do from a logical standpoint, so I could legitimately see this happen, but for now it is sadly just educated conjecture. Beyond technical improvements, however, there are also a ton of amazing features we could see implemented in the games based on the natural progression of the franchise that we are currently witnessing. For example, Pokémon following you has almost been made standard by the Sword and Shield expansions, and as such, I would fully expect to see it throughout the entirety of the next major installment as well. On that note, a natural progression of Pokemon following you is being able to then ride the Pokemon, and given that we've seen this in spurts in many of the most recent Pokemon games, it is also possible that that will come into the fold as a more standard feature as well. Roaming legendaries could also make a more permanent return, and in an open world space no doubt, a la the Galarian legendary birds. I also expect overworld shinies to be a thing again like they were in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, because again, that would just be a natural progression, and there's even the possibility of seeing regional variants in older regions that we have already visited. Regional variants were of course introduced in Gen 7, and since that point, other than the Let's Go games, which were largely side projects anyway, we have not revisited an older region. Inevitably, some kind of remake will happen one way or another, and a previous generation will then come into the spotlight, with regional variants now being a thing, which will open up the door for that feature to happen within an older region. And this is one that I absolutely expect to see in one way or another. When Galarian forms were introduced, that cemented the fact that regional variants are just a natural function of the Pokemon world, and not some special thing that only occurs in one area. As such, this is not the type of feature that could be removed from any future Pokemon game and have their removal be justified in any way, shape, or form as other features have been. The jury is of course definitely still out on this one, and it's not guaranteed by any stretch unfortunately, but it is my personal expectation that it could and should happen. On that note, if there was one thing that the Sword and Shield expansion showed us, it's that all bets are off in terms of what kinds of things are possible within a Pokemon game now. In the expansion, we saw the introduction of an evolving legendary, regional variant legendary Pokemon, and new members of an existing legendary family being added, all of which were never thought to be possible before. While the presence of these things in the expansion doesn't confirm that similar things have to happen going forward, it shows that they are now possible. And as the series continues to grow and evolve and release more games, more and more things will be tried out, which also makes it all the more likely that we could see more things we never thought possible before actually happen. Who knows, maybe one day we will see starters of other types, your rival being the member of an evil team, or even voice acting within a Pokemon game someday. Pokemon Sword and Shield definitely showed the need for voice acting within Pokemon now, as several moments throughout the game felt empty and silent without it. So while it's another pipe dream kind of feature, I feel like it may be closer to being included in a game than we actually think, and the large amounts of criticism to Sword and Shield could possibly help kick something like that into gear a little quicker than normal. And lastly, since we began this video discussing the DLC, we might as well finish with the DLC. The Sword and Shield expansion is the first proper DLC the Pokemon series has ever seen, and it outright replaced the enhanced versions that have been a staple for Pokemon since its inception. And because DLC is downloadable, it opens up a lot of cool possibilities for content down the road. For example, imagine DLC being offered for a remake of a game that adds new stories and adventures into an already existing region. DLC can add literally anything, and I think the possibility of literally anything is immensely exciting. It could even make the oft-requested 2-region mechanic even easier and more realistic to implement, as an additional region for any game would be an amazing bit of DLC to have that would fit this model perfectly. Overall, Pokemon seems to be on the cusp of true greatness. Many of the things we've dreamed about for ages seem like they could legitimately happen any day now, but again, this is just speculation at this point. Do you like this future for Pokemon I have painted? Is there anything else you feel like we could see? Let me know with a comment below, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. You can also support the channel further and videos just like this by listening to my Pokemon remixes on Spotify and giving my Pokemon Cardinal series a watch if you haven't yet, both of which are massively appreciated. With that said, I will see you all very soon with another video, and until then, as always, I love you all, and I will smell you guys later.